Hello. Hi. So I'm in ISTQB certification help Facebook group, and there is a question here which Alice has posted, and I'm going to answer or give a justification here. Okay. So what she asked is, could somebody please explain me this question from the practice exam C from the official ISTQB website? I really can't understand the connection given that this is from the traceability section in the chapter 1. Okay, so let's uh, before we go to this question, I have syllabus open. So this question is on the learning objective of K2 type. Okay, so this is the learning objective, and here it explains the value of maintaining traceability between the test basis and the test work products. So here when I say a test basis, it is a requirement. Okay, so it is any input which you need to write a test case. Okay, let me just open. Yeah, so let me have some highlighter. Okay, so here it is saying about the traceability, okay, between the test basis, between the requirements and the test work product. So it could be a test conditions, test cases, test results. Okay, so let's see. Let me just go to this particular learning objective and let's understand that part first. So if you see here, the traceability will help to analyze the impact of the changes. Okay, so what it means. Okay, uh, so let's say that you have a requirements and there is a change in couple of the requirements. So now you have to analyze what is the impact because of this two requirements changed. Okay, so now if you have a traceability between the requirements and the test cases, it is easy to analyze the impact because you know that, okay, so these are the two requirements which are changed and the test cases linked to those are affected or impacted. Okay, and that you should relook into. Okay, second is making testing auditable. Okay, so what it means. Okay, so what you do during audits, generally you check, okay, you have followed the process or not, right? So here, uh, if you have a traceability, you can check that whether all your requirements are covered or not. So you can measure the coverages. Okay, and let's say you have 100 requirements, so you know that, okay, 80 requirements are covered and these are the 20 requirements which are not covered. Okay, so you know the gaps and you can work on those. Okay, meeting the IT governance criteria. Okay, then next objective is improving the understanding of a progress report and the test summary report. Okay, so test progress report and the test summary report. Okay, so how you can improve the understanding of this. Okay, so let me give you example. Okay, let's consider you have a 100 test cases into your project. Okay, so for a particular test type you have 100 test cases. Okay, so you have executed all these 100 test cases and you are summarizing the report. Okay, and you are saying, okay, 80 of the test cases are pass and 20 test cases are fail. Okay, so if you give this information to the customer or the stakeholders, they will not able to understand what you mean. Okay, because they don't know what are your test cases. Okay, but if you convert this, if you translate this results into the form of a test basis, into the form of a requirement, okay, it would be more meaningful. Okay, let's see how. Okay, so let's, I have given example like there are 100 test cases, 80 are passed, 20 are failed. Okay, so you cannot tell this to customer. Okay, instead of that you can say that, okay, you give me 25 requirements. Okay, out of this I could test these 22 requirements, and out of these 22 requirements, 20 requirements are pass, and if you list down the two requirements which are fail and the three requirements which you could not test because of the testability issues, so you can list down those. Okay, so then the customer will know that, okay, these are the two requirements which are failing, these are the three requirements which are not tested. Okay, so instead of saying him, okay, 20 test cases are failed, if you say which two requirements are not met, okay, so then it would be more meaningful to the customer or the stakeholders so that they can make informed decisions. Okay. Relating the testing aspects of testing to the stakeholders in terms of they can understand. Okay, so this is also talking on the same lines. Okay, provide the information to assess the product quality. Okay, so now how you can assess the quality. Okay, so through coverage you can access the quality, so whether you have covered or not. Let's say you have some safety relevant requirements. Okay, and you have to measure how much coverage you have. Okay, so coverage is like, okay, if you have one test case per requirement, it will say, okay, it is covered. But let's say you are just concentrating or considering only the safety or security relevant requirements. So what is your requirement to test case ratio? Okay, is it 1 to 1, or it is less than 1, or it is more than 1? Okay, so there could be possibility that there is a one requirement and you can derive multiple test scenarios or the test cases, but you have derived only minimal and not covered all possible scenarios. So this kind of information you can measure when you have a traceability. Okay. So let's go back and see the question. Okay. So hope you understood this. Okay. So these are the objectives why you should have a traceability. Okay. And this traceability is required from the test basis. Okay. From requirements to the test conditions, from test conditions to the test cases, from test cases to test procedures, and test procedures to results. Okay. And then the even the defects. Okay. So if you create any defects, you should know which test cases has the which defects. Okay. So now let's read this. So here it is a K2 type of question where you have to do a matchmaking. Okay. So the first is selecting the regression test cases. Okay. So when you select the regression test case, when you have to do a impact analysis. Okay. So so here when you have to do a impact analysis, you identify the regression test cases. Okay, so you identify what are the test cases which you should test so that the unchanged areas are also fine. Okay, so here you test more than the retesting. Okay, so you test the failed part as well as some of the past test cases as well. Okay, so to define what should be the scope for the regression, you do the impact analysis, and impact analysis will be easy when you have a traceability between the requirements and the test cases. Okay, so second is, so one should be D. Okay, so with that B is not the answer. Okay, either A, B or D are the answers. Okay, uh, so evaluating the completeness of the test execution. So how you can evaluate completeness? You can check whether all the requirements are covered or not. Okay, so make the testing auditable. Okay, so you can see that whether you have enough test cases or not. Okay, you can measure the coverage if you have a traceability matrices. Okay, and that way you can make the testing as a auditable. Okay, so you know that where are the gaps, which requirements are not covered, and you can have a task to cover that. Okay, so you can plan those requirements to be covered further. Okay, identify which user stories have open defect reports. Okay, so this is talking about converting the test results into the form of a test basis. Okay, so here improving the understanding of a test status report to include the status of the test basis items. Okay, to include the status against the requirements. Okay, so 3 should be A. And fourth point is evaluating whether the number of tests for each requirement is consistent with the level of a product risk. Okay, so here you should so this is providing the quality information of the uh, of your work. Okay, so of your tests. Okay, so it provides the information to assess the process quality, so whether you have enough or adequate test cases or not. Okay, whether you are achieving the minimal acceptable requirement to test case ratio or not. Okay, And this could be even you can do only for the areas where you see the high risk, okay, or maybe the security relevant requirements or the safety relevant requirements, okay. So with that, D is the right answer, okay. So hope you understood this justification, okay. uh, and thanks for watching this video.